Hey folks, David Stewart here. Don't forget on March 27th, Keys to Prolific Creativity to help you take your creative output to the next level and design a great creative process that's going to work for you. Today, this is a little bit of a book design thing. This is using a very specific font. This also would apply to any other design where you want to use this. The font is called Cinzel Decorative. It's very popular in the fantasy genres. In fact, I've used it on a number of book covers because it looks so good and it cues the thought of fantasy so well. The thing is, you have to actually know what you're doing with it because it's one of these fonts that has these very characteristic, very pronounced, what are called swash letters, these letters with these big kind of swishy tags on them. And if you just use all the swashes at once, your title is going to look really, really amateurish. So I'm going to show you exactly how to use Cinzel Decorative like a professional to make it look really, really good. So this is a blank 5x8 book cover. I'm just going to zoom in here a little bit and we will type in some text. So think of like a fantasy book cover title. You know, let's do Fall of the West. Let's start with the basic way that someone would actually design this. You'd probably type in Fall of the West. Okay, great. There's my book cover title. Now that doesn't look terrible. I'm like, oh, it doesn't look that bad. Now if we put it in Cinzel Decorative, well, it looks okay, I guess. You know, it looks kind of like a fantasy book cover title. But we want to take this to the next level. We want it to look really good. One of the first things people start to do is they realize that Cinzel Decorative has these wonderful swashes whenever you make a capital letter. So they make everything a capital letter, and you get this, and you're like, well, that looks really fantasy. But this actually looks really bad. There's just swashes going everywhere. Everything looks off. You have letters running into each other. This is not good design. So you want to take that off, and instead you want to be selective with what letters you're going to use the capital swash form for. Cinzel Decorative is very easy to go overboard with this, so you just really want to be careful. One of the first things that we want to do is we want to look at what letters are going to be great for swashes. This F is actually not a good one. You notice if we just make it lowercase, the lowercase f is going to look much better than the uppercase F next to an A, because the only difference is that middle line of the F is much longer. So we're going to use a lowercase f. Now you could use a swashy A. Swashy A looks pretty cool, but it's going to be too much. And if we do two L's with the swashes, oh, those don't look that good. But if we do one L swash, one L normal, so that's just a capital L, all of a sudden the word fall starts to look pretty good. Next we look at West. West looks a little bit boring. If we make them all, you know, swashes, they don't look that good. But if we make just the S, if you see that the S looks pretty good, oh, it's just a little detail that looks nice. If you decide, oh, let me make the T, oh no, that's too much. So just the S, you got to be selective. And I really like the W of Cinzel Decorative. I used it with Water of Awakening, which is somewhere in this stack of books behind me. I'll let you see it real quick. So you can see I really liked that letter W a lot, and I like the letter A, so I used them as capital letters. And I used a couple selective swashes here and there for that design. So you want to be selective with them. Now, there's another one that I happen to know that I like, which is the O. So now we're looking a little bit better. We could even make this T one of them too. We may not like that ligature, so how do we get rid of the ligature? If we make them capital letters, that doesn't look good. So the way we get rid of the ligature is we actually change it to Cinzel Regular. So the font comes in two versions, Cinzel and Cinzel Decorative. Decorative has all the swashes. Regular Cinzel will just look like this. And now we're starting to get closer to a good design. Now let's talk about using asymmetry and different letter sizes to actually make this font look really, really good and really professional. So one of the things that you should pick up on if you're ever analyzing book covers is that words like of and the, usually you shrink them down because they're not the important keywords. You kind of want to get those out of sight. The easy way to do this, rather than to try to go in here and be like, okay, well, let's make this one, you know, 36 and make it smaller. That's one way to do it. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to make everything a separate letter. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete the rest of that. And we have one word, fall, and we're going to add of and the as separate words, and then we can make them whatever size we want to make them. So we can make them, let's say, 36 point, nice and small, like that. So these are separate letters. We can also put them wherever we want on the design, which is great. And I was going to make that of one of those capital O's. It has that nice swirly O, which looks really good. And we're going to make that Cinzel, normal Cinzel. Now from here, we may want to actually make the design maybe even a little bit better, because we have kind of this big gap between the T and the H. So one of the things I like to do if I'm going to be using different size things is I'll make one more separate word here, and we'll make a HE, and we'll make it just Cinzel because it matches. And then we can shrink that down. You can make it whatever size you want. Let's make it 20, make it 30 point. So that 30 point, let's go a little smaller, 24 point. Make it 24 point here, and we can just kind of tuck it under that H. And we'll do the same thing for the F. We will delete the F, and we'll type an F. We'll make the F 24 point right here. And then now we have two great little words here, of and the. And one of the things I'd like to do here is just select these, and I'm going to make them a group in Photoshop. So that's going to make it really easy for me to select these and move them around. So now we have the of and the have some design elements to them. Let's see if we can add the west back in. And one of the things we might want to do is we actually might want to, because F next to A has this weird kind of negative space, we kind of want that A a little closer. One way you could fix that is by adjusting the kerning and going into like a negative value to get the F and the A a little closer together. Another thing you could do is actually to again delete the F and make a separate F here. That way you can make that F as big or as small as you want it to be. So you can make it a big F, and then you can use some design stuff to really make these things shine. Let's move these out of the way, and let's get the F and the A kind of working like this. So now we have a little bit of just a big capital letter, just it makes it stand out more. That one swoosh below here, I'm actually going to adjust the kerning between the A and the L. I'm going to make that go back to 0. Go back to 0 here, and that should look very nice as well. So there we go, fall. Now the of and the we could put those really wherever we want. You know, we can kind of tuck them up under here, or we could put them kind of out over here if we want to. Just design them however we want. Fall of the, and then we'll put in the west. And let's do the same thing for west. We'll make a W, and then we'll make the other word S with a capital S. So we have a selective swash in the middle of the word to give it a little bit more definition. Let's pump this guy up to maybe 125 point. Make him nice and big. I really like that W. It's a little too big. We're gonna go 115. There we go. And so now we have two words to work with. So we can line this F and this W up however we want to. We can use a bunch of different approaches towards typography design to get this title to look really good. So one thing you could do is you could make it go from low to high. So you do fall and west like this. Fall of the west, and you could do of, fall of the west like that. That looks pretty good. Or you could put of the over here if you want to, or you could put of the down here. So you could put of and the over here and have a little bit more negative space kind of up in the corner. You could put something else in that corner to kind of take up that space if you wanted to, or just leave it as negative space. You don't have to fill up every single inch of negative space when you are designing a book cover. It's just you don't want awkward negative space. So spaces between characters, those can feel awkward. A little bit of negative space in the corner is not going to look that bad. So this is kind of like my Water of Awakening title. It's pretty similar to it actually, because we have the like of here with this thing. But you could get this you can get something that looks like this. I would put this on a fantasy cover, or you could go the opposite direction. You could try to go from right to left. It really just depends what the title is and kind of how it fits with the background image. You could pick a lot of different background images that this might look really good on. And we're not doing any kind of extra text effects. We're just looking at how we actually want to design this. Like I think I like the "of the" over here a little better personally. And then kind of west, this kind of flowing together looks really good to me. Yeah, I kind of like it like that. You could do other details like put underlines under "of the" or something like that. So I kind of like the way this looks, maybe like that, with those things flowing together. It kind of, you know, kind of flows together, I think. Put "of" and "the" over here. And this is how you get a good text design to work for this. Now, one of the things that I actually would do as well, I'll just show you a couple of little things that can help take your title text design really to another level. "Of" and "the" are kind of minimized as far as interest. We're going to do "Fall of the West" as one group, and that way we can have text effects that only affect this group. So we'll select that group, and then we can have some text effects like, you know, a bevel effect that looks like this, or, you know, a color overlay, something like this. There we go. See, that looks pretty good. And this actually has a very nice look to it. You could do a really light stroke on this that's maybe very, very, like 1 pixel to kind of just pump them up a little bit, maybe 3 pixels, and make that color. Let's make it a color, and the color we'll make is somewhere in yellow. Make like a gold text. So this starts to look really nice like this. The "of" and "the" you can leave as white to just kind of separate out. You could even make, you know, if you want a different color, or you could do a gradient overlay. There's lots of different options that you can do, but having those as 2 different colors will kind of make this text stand out. And so if we were to pick like an image, if I'm just going to pick like a stock image here from maybe another project, and we'll do this one. So let's make sure that this is down towards the bottom of the stack here. Like this, and go. And from here we can pump it up so it's nice and big. It'll fill up the whole frame. Like that. See, this could be a great little fantasy cover with just this image. "Fall of the West," or whatever your title text wanted to be. And once you have the image in place, then you can do a little bit more design work, like, you know, "of the" over here, or maybe, you know, you could put it even like this. You know, there's lots of different ways that you can do it. You make the "W" go up higher. You could play around with it and find something that you really, really like for your own title. So you want to design it around your title. You even do something very asymmetrical like that, and that works. That looks pretty good. Now we can make everything pop out a little bit more just by adding some drop shadows here. Purple one is not what we want, but we do want probably just a normal one, which I will. There you go. Now it's going to really pop off the page and be very, very visible. Do the same thing for the other group, the "of the." Not purple, but normal black. Now it's nice and bright and easy to see. This could make a pretty good little fantasy book cover just with that stock image and this title, and then of course you'd put an author name down here in a different font. Don't use the same font for both sides. You want to use different fonts for your author name and your title, okay? Go. there you go. There's really basic book cover with some really good text design with Cinzel Decorative. Very popular font, but you have to know how to use it. If you're putting swashes everywhere, it's not going to look good. It's going to look really like an amateur piece of work. If for some reason you want this design, you can email me and I could license this image and turn this into a book cover design for you. But whatever. So hopefully that's useful. Don't forget, new book's coming out March 27th, Keys to Prolific Creativity, to help you boost your creative output. And I will see you guys next time.